Hi everybody, this is Miss Manning coming at you from her dining room table. We are going to go over our very first Momot Elementary art room lesson for remote learning. That's right, you're going to make art at home. Now, we're going to do week 1, and I'm going to read over your goals, you fantastic 4th and 5th graders, you. Learning goal number 1, texture. Texture in art can be a tricky thing to define. It can mean how something feels. That's the actual texture. For example, my shirt is literally, it feels super soft. That is a soft texture. I can feel the texture. It's soft. But texture can also be how something looks like it would feel. And we artists call that implied texture. So again, looking at my shirt, I'm using just my eyes and I'm looking at my shirt and I can tell that it looks like it would feel soft. That's the implied texture. And what you boys and girls get to do today, you get to try and draw your hand from life as a contour drawing. That's a line that goes around the outside edges only. You can do a contour drawing with some detail in the palm, this part of your hand. Students will then use their creativity and understanding of texture to fill in each finger of their hand with a different texture. So this is your activity for today, a hand with texture drawing, also known as crazy fingers. So the very first thing you're going to need to do is take your packet and just flip the corner over and carefully use your fingernail or a butter knife or an adult to help you get that the staple out, because you're going to need to take this packet apart, but don't lose any of these papers. Try to keep them together. All right, so these are the instructions, and this is a nice detailed instruction of these crazy fingers assignment. So you're going to draw your hand and give each finger a different texture. Number 1, lightly sketch your hand with a pencil from life. And what that means is you're just going to look at your hand and you're literally going to draw it. You're going to look at it and draw it. Look at it and draw it. And then you're going to mark out the gesture of the hand in some lines that define your palm. And those gesture lines are these lines right here, just giving a little detailed information. You can see on my palm, see this line right here? That's one of those palm detail lines that they mentioned in the directions before. You can add a little bit of value, a little darkness, either with hatching or smudging to shade the palm of your hand. But don't shade or add any detail to your fingers at this point. Begin by imagining different textures in our world. They might be soft, prickly, gooey, rough, or bumpy. Think of a texture you have seen and apply it to your fingers. Think of and draw a different texture for each finger. You can continue to add a new detailed texture to each finger until all your fingers have had their surface altered by the new texture you have applied to them. Okay, and a great resource for you boys and girls to look at for examples of texture, go back to your cover page and just flip it over. You'll see some fantastic examples of texture and how this artist created them. Check out this wet texture, a woven texture like a basket, scaly texture like from a fish or a mermaid tail, hairy texture, gooey texture, rough texture, bumpy, smooth, prickly, flaky, all that good stuff. These are great to look at if you get stuck, or if you need an idea to use for your crazy fingers art. Now, after this page is a nice blank page for you to do your own crazy finger drawing. So remember, step number 1, you need to lightly sketch your hand with pencil from life. So let me show you an example of that. I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to look and draw. Look and draw. Actually, let me see if I can back out a little bit here. There we go. Now, I'm going to hold my hand here. I'm going to draw. Look and draw. Look and draw. Notice the size of the paper and the size of your hand. My hand is nice and big, so I got to make sure it fills the paper. So I'm going to lightly sketch using a contour line my hand. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, the idea is not to draw a perfect hand. The idea is actually to practice drawing your texture. So I've got my thumb. I'm going to do this finger here. And I'm trying to figure out how tall is this finger. Is it this tall? No, it's not quite that tall. All right, I'm going to round over. Let me see. Maybe I'll make that my first finger. Keep going. Notice this finger's a little taller than that one. They're all about the same thickness though, so I'm going to try to keep working on that. Let's go up for another one. This one's shorter than this one and even shorter than that one. So that's a good thing to observe, to notice. Okay. And then, oh, pinky finger. He's the littlest one of them all. And he is right there. Bring it down. Notice that other line I started to draw? It's not going to fit there. Now, like I said, your hand does not have to be perfect. Remember, the idea is just to make a crazy textured finger. Is it perfect? No, it's not the idea. But we can start adding some of those other lines. Oh, and you know what? I actually might do a little bit of editing here. Let's see. I'm going to make my palm come out here. And then erase that line I don't like. Remember, we've been talking about saving those mistake lines to help us draw the right line. Notice air quotes. It's not right. It's whatever you want it to be because you're the artist, right? I'm going to do that little line that's at the bottom of my palm here. You can see there's like a little line here. And then a little line up here. Goes right there. Maybe a little line right here. And then there's this little funky line that goes here. And then, oh gosh, I think my thumb joint needs to come way down here. Maybe. Yeah. We're going to call that good for now. All right. Look at my second. Now the fun part, picking out textures to make your fingers crazy. I really like the scales, so I'm going to make my thumb look like a mermaid with that scaly texture. And that is just a repeated line, making that curvy bump. Curve, curve, curve. What I want you to notice about my scales is I go in between that little line here. You see that? There's that little U shape, U shape, U shape. There. And I can continue to go all the way down. You can make one of your fingers look really hairy with some short little texture lines like that. Or you can make it like a curly hair. Ooh, that could be weird. I like that. Yeah, and just use your imagination. Remember, if you get stuck, don't worry about it. You can look at this paper here, and you can ask your friends. You can ask whoever you have around, like, hey, can you help me find a texture? Maybe go outside for a walk and take a look at all the textures that are in our world around us. Like the grass right now, you know, it's all like flat and smushed down in some areas. So you can maybe think about doing like some smushed down grassy texture. Or maybe you are walking on the sidewalk and you notice the sidewalk is like really sandy and you've got these little tiny spots. So maybe you've got like you could do a sandy spotted texture on one of your fingers. Okay. So yeah, have fun, relax, get creative, and use your imagination and learn about texture, how something feels and how something looks like it would feel, that implied texture. All right, artists, have fun.